everyone. Okay, we are back, and it looks like we are doing Cyberpunk's. I think it's Cyberpunk's Edge Runner. So we're gonna be going to our location, cause for those of you who didn't know, Wuthering Waves is doing a collab. It technically started yesterday, but I didn't have time to do it. But you were supposed to have a text message from Mornay saying that there's been an emergency and we just have to come over there to check it on out. So that's where we're headed. It's been a minute. Hey now, don't say that to a girl. Okay. What a coincidence. He's like, Okay. Where do we gotta go? Let's just get out of here first. Oh, phooey. I just realized how far that is. It's at the academy! Gosh darn it. Okay. Not gonna put me too... Ooh. Okay, right there. Okay. Woo!
要な周波数はこの中から伝わってきてる。
Okay.
モーニーの言ってた通りだ。ゲートの向こう側から周波数が流出してる。アブ、中に入ってみるぞ。
We're going in. Okay, for a second there I thought it was like on the second floor and I got teleported to like the bottom one and I was like, no, I did not want to go there.
周波数が多くなってきた。アブ、大丈夫か？
ちょっと頭がクラクラするし、体も重くなってきたな。
無理はするな。耐えられなくなったら言ってくれ。
なんか変な匂いがするぞ。学園の鉄玉たちにちょっと似てるな。今の残像、我たち狙ってたわけじゃなさそうだったぞ。
俺もそう感じた。こっちに気づくまで何かを探してるような動きだった。
銃声が聞こえたぞ。前からだ。
Like, nope. Huh. It's like, where am I? Oh, I'm back in the academy, in the dorms.
ここまで来れば安全だ。大丈夫か？
これくらいサーバーウェアには影響しないわ。
サイバーウェア。
He's like, huh.
体に改造の痕跡があるようだ。フラクト指定のしますか？いや、よく見ると改造方法がアーティファイさんの類じゃないな。彼女が問題解決につながる情報を持っている可能性がある。敵を抜き出されるまではひとまず観察してから判断しよう。
助けてくれたのはありがたいけど、もう行かないと。
まだ怪我が治りきってない。無理はするな。
You're not in your usual place, so you can't really do much.
でもなんで夢じゃないとしたら、デイビッド、レベッカ。
二人はあなたの仲間なのか？心の収益は入り組んでるんだ。導きがないと迷いやすい。ひとまず休んでおいてくれ。体力が戻ってきたら一緒に探すよ。
心の収益。どうして見ず知らずの私を助けたの？
それが俺なりの最善策だからだ。あなたは仲間を見つけたい。そして俺はここで起きた異常の原因を調べたい。今の状態では 一人で仲間を見つけ出すのは困難だろう。一時
Optimistic.
的な協力関係とでも思えばいい。意見が割れたらいつでもパーティーを抜けていいぞ。
まだ完全に信用したわけじゃないけど。ルーシーよ。覚えたわ。あんたの名前も私を助けてくれたことも。
Alright. We got the crossover logo. The collab
ナイトメア
logo.
残像はなぜあなたに敵意を持ってたんだ。
ナイトメア残像って。
さっきルーシーを追いかけてた化け物のことだ。
わからないわ。あの時デイビッドやレベッカがいなかったら私はもう急いで助けに行かないと。次はどこへ行けばいいの？
心の襲撃の真相に手がかりがあるかもしれない。ついてくるんだ。
We're basically gonna head on out.
なんでゲートの向こう側にナイトシティの列車とつながってるの？
ナイトシティ。説明する気がないなら今はいい。心の襲撃は夢の集合体だ。どんなことが起きてもおかしくない。
どんなこと？そうなのね。
Ooh! She gotta make that pose after her ult.
あそこいたわ。レベッカ。その様子だと大丈夫みたいじゃん。そいつは誰だよ？知り合いか？
She's like, huh?
この人は漂白者。あの化け物、ナイトメア残像から私を助けてくれた。ナイトメア残像？アホ面の割には大層な名前だな。
I say we have a big personality over here.
今度あんたの設定がもらってやる。
Oh my. It's like, the heck?
ルーシーのことありがとな。私はレベッカ。兄ちゃんよろしく。
You're calling me that? I guess it's because I look like a pretty boy. Is that why?
デイビッドは一緒じゃないの？これ。煙が晴れたら現場にそれが残ってた。あいつはアシュラを守ってくれたけど自分は守れなかったみてえだ。 きり見たわけじゃねえ。でもあんな攻撃を受けちゃもう。
He got offed. He got offed in this collab? Dang.
デイビッド死ぬ。何がどうなってやがんだ。うずらそうじゃないか。ルシー、おいしっかりしろ。
周波数の流出がひどいな。ここは危険だ。二人を連れ出す。
やるしかねえか。ルシー、捕まれ。
Weehaw. Okay, am I running? Oh no, never mind. We autoed run that. Rebecca, where the heck are you going? You don't even know where the heck the place is.
マジかよ。おいおい、どこだよここは。
I just love how she actually does curse in this one. They just they just
ラハイロイスタート落ち学園心の周域。ダメだ、全然わかんない。どっかのギャングの隠語か。
It's not a gang, it's a
それとも全
academy.
部コンポの名前か。荒坂みてえな。
What's Arasaka?
なんだそれ。
荒坂も知らねえとはな。こりゃどうしたもんか。
Look. Wherever you're from, you're not probably not where we are.
そったれ一体どうなってんだよ。周りは全部初めて見るもんばっかり。ひょっとして BD に閉じ込められてんの。BD じゃないわ、レベッカ。まだ頭が少し痛い。でも体は動かせる。信じられないけど、私たち別の世界にいるみたいね。
It's like
お
the
前飲
heck?
みすぎたか。それとも頭湧いてんのか。私も BD だと思ってたわ。全部作り物なんじゃないかって。でも BD を使った痕跡なんてないし、誰かに記憶を改ざんされてもない。最終的にここが別の世界だって確信した理由はこれよ。このタトゥー、ただの絵やインプラントじゃないわ。何か奇妙な感覚がする。
So you got a tacit mark all of a sudden.
足の右肩にもタトゥーがある。これがどうした。 BD の中じゃねえって証拠にはならねえだろ。あんたの手にも同じものがあるよね。偶然とは思えないわ。
これは温魂だ。共鳴者が能力に目覚めると自動的に体に現れるものだぞ。
タトゥーから生き物もどうやって現れたの。
It's like we're companions.
それくらい。
He's like, I'm not a toy.
誰がぬいぐるみだ。我は恩外だぞ。漂白者とずーっと一緒にいる相棒なんだ。
紹介しよう。こいつはアブ。俺のとても大事な相棒だよ。二人を見つけられたのもこいつの導きのおかげなんだ。
Yeah, he's my partner.
相棒だってこのチミが
Hey now.
音楽ってのは理解できないけどすげえってことはわかるぞ。
Hey now. He may be a fluff ball, but he knows how to do things.
ますます気に入ったぜ。
我は漂白者の手伝いをしてるだけだよ。でも恩外さえ知らないなんてのは。じゃあ残像が何か知ってるか。
We're gonna need to do some life lessons here.
ルーシーはネットで調べられたら何かつかめるかもしれないけど、ネットに繋がらねえなんて確かに異常だな。でもさ、別の世界なんてさすがになあ漂白者。
この二人は突然心の収益に現れた上に未知の改造技術を持っている。知らない言葉の連発、さらには音階や残像についても知識するな。もしかしたら二人は本当に別の世界から渡ってきたのかもしれないな。
信じてくれたよね。
とても信じがたいが、状況から考えると一番合理的な解釈だ。ただ無条件に信頼するわけにはいかないが、俺を説得したいならもっと証拠を出してもらいたい。
いいわ。でも何が知りたいの？
俺の目的は周域の調査と異常現象の解決だ。そのためには可能な限り経緯を知りたい。もっと情報がいるんだ。どうやってこの世界に来たのか、それと例のナイトメア残像はどこから来たのか、改めて説明してほしい。
レベッカ、少し時間が欲しい。好きにしろ。複雑なことはわからねえし興味もねえよ。ありがとう。
Are we going into cyberpunk territory now? Ooh, 2D animation. What is this? The grid? Okay, looks like we finally get a chance to decently play as Lucy here.
感覚も一体タトゥーいつの間に私が見てるのは全部夢で地面を踏む感触があまりにもリアルだ。デイビッドそんな
Whoa. Glitch City. Oops. I keep doing that. It's always constant. I'm like running into things. Whoops. Access quick hat to the utility wheel. Okay.
けどこのデバイスならハックできそう。試してみるか。今までのハッキングがスムーズにこのタトゥーが補助してくれてるの。
See the surroundings. Okay. Oh, okay. So I can basically hack into something to hack into another thing.
さっきまでと雰囲気が全然違う。別のエリアに入り込んだよね。できるだけ慎重に進みましょう。
Sometimes you may switch between several cameras in a network. Tap the camera button on the bottom left corner to switch.
BD が使われた痕跡はない。ミスティとも連絡がつかないし、ネットにもアクセスできないなんて。一体何があったの？これはサイバー空間の裂け目。なんでこんなところに？この程度ならハッキングできるはず。
So the code sequence required to upload from the code matrix and shove the sequence in the buffer. To complete the hack, match the code sequence in the buffer with the sequence required to upload. Okay, so I guess I'm playing match. Okay, so this one, BD. Okay, CD, and then FF. Did it just get okay? I was like, did it just get bigger? Where am I?
私が知ってるサイバー空間とは少し違う。
Okay, I'm not tripping. So it was a flat surface that it just looks very towered. I thought I got a jump. Jesus Christ.
情はなんでこんなものを見せるのよ。
You're hesitating.
一人で何ブツブツ言ってんだ。
He doesn't want you to wallow for him.
どうしたんだよ、幽霊でも見たような顔しやがって。あーしの顔になんかついてるか。いや、あんたは。
久しぶり、ルーシー。
デイビッド。本当にデイビッドなの。
Ah, so it's her fault, technically. It's her nightmares. She has something unresolved, that's why.
その後のことは知っての通りよ。どう？これで信用できる？理屈はわからない。このタトゥー、温魂が現れてから私のハッキングにも変化が起きてるわ。もともとは機械にしか効かないのに、今は生身の人間にも似たようなことができる。
なるほど。つまりそれがお前の共鳴能力なんだな。
共鳴能力？
特別な能力だと理解しておけばいい。あなたと出会った時、俺もそれを使ってナイトメア残像を撃退した。
You were in your havoc
ど
form.
うやら人によって力が違うみたいね。残念。みんなあんたみたいに飛べるのかと思ったわ。話はついたか？
Don't worry, some people do fly.
一応ね、少なくとも不必要な誤解は解けた。
これからどうするつもりなんだ？
あのナイトメア残像にケリをつけなきゃ。他のことはあいつを仕留めてからよ。それにデイビッド。
Like I said, it's probably you. You probably have like unresolved issues, and that's probably why it's manifested from you.
その件に関して俺たちの狙いは同じようだな。俺も奴が現実に与える影響をなくしたいんだ。
銃や弾を補充してぶっ殺しに行くか？情報交換から始めたいわ。この世界は一体どうなっているの？共鳴能力、ドリームバンド、それとスタート自学。初めて聞くものばかりね。大体の状況は理解したわ。レベッカ、他に知りたいことはある？そもそも全く理解できてないからな。
How much you didn't understand.
ここが別の世界だってことさえ分かればそれで十分っしょ。やることは同じ。理解できてもできなくても関係ねえって。
Fair enough. Oh, now they're popping. How dare you enter the academy?
心の収益から出られないはずなのに、なんでこんなところに現れたんだ。
こいつらコンポの連中と同じ姿をしてやがるぞ。
Corpos.
いざそれ聞くか。戦う前に講座でも開けって。さすがに無理でしょう。まずは戦場に
Lenny!
全部終わったら詳しく聞かせてね。ハッキングで動きを止める。気をつけて。
Did I say Lenny? I meant Lene. Oh! Whew. Quick hacks can be used to attack targets. Perform quick hacks consumes RAM, which recovers over time. Okay. Ooh. Execute. Execute. Oh. Okay.
いつもと手応えが違うかも。そうだ、こっちは気を気持ちいいぜ。
She's so crazy. Oh. I did not know I was supposed to move the screen like that. I probably missed a lot of those shots.
間に合ってよかった。
Thanks, Lene.
データを集めてたら急に物音がしてさ。それで駆けつけてみたら脅迫者くんたちを見つけたの。どう？私の登場結構イケてたでしょ。
Very stylish.
さっきの落書きのバッターズどうやったんだ。かっこよかったぜ。そのスプレー缶新種の武器か。それは
That's kind of hard to explain.
そうだ。さっき戦ってた時気になったんだけど、銃のホログラム部分、もしかしてグラフィティからインスピレーションを得たの？気づいたか。あーしが選んだ配色だぜ。悪くねえだろ。よく似合ってると思わねえか。
I just love how they're just like talking about gun customization.
一発であんたが書いたってわかるね。もっと褒めてもいいざ。そういや、そっちの銃にも興味があんだけどよ。ちょっと見せてくれねえか。もちろん。ほら。きれいな。見た目だけじゃなくてバッチリ調整されてるじゃん。
It's like kitty.
銃口のデザインもなかなかだぜ。あんた銃にめっちゃ詳しいみてえだな。
I guess they're friends now.
レベッカ、よろしくな。私はリンネ。会えて嬉しいよ、レベッカちゃん。ルーシーよ、事情があってここに留まることになったわ。できるだけ迷惑はかけないようにするから。うん、よろしくね。そういえば初めて会うし、今日入学したばかりの新入生だったりする？
You could say that. It's complicated.
困らせちゃったかな。これ以上は聞かないでおくよ。ええ、その方が助かるわ。ナイトシティから来たエッジランナーっつっても理解できねえだろうし。ナイトシティ？エッジランナー？気にすんな。 友情は身分も時間も超えられるもんだ。そうだな。
I get you.
そうだね。
She's like, I get you. Any updates on the disturbances?
ゆっくりだけど
It's slow, but the
ゲートの周
frequencies
波数
leaking
は
from the door
今も
has
外
kept
に流れ
spreading.
てるよ。パニックを起こさないように学園側は表向き異常なしって主張してる。授業も訓練もいつも通りだし。けどあくまでも時間稼ぎだね。みんなに気づかれちゃう前にゲートをなんとかしなきゃ。そういえば漂白者君は気づいた？さっきナイトメア残像と戦ってた時、私の攻撃はみんなより軽かった。実際あんまりダメージを与えられなかったと思う。まあ最近単位を取るために訓練を怠ってるのは事実だけど、それとは別の理由があるよね。
俺も似たような状況にあった。前にゲートの向こう側で極めて特別なナイトメア残像と遭遇したんだ。普通の攻撃だと全然ダメージを与えられなかった。今回の残像は特別だ。リネ、ルシラー学園長に報告してくれないか。彼女に協力してもらいたい。後で一緒にモーニーのところに行きたい。データを渡すついでにルーシーたちのことについて説明しておかないと。
オッケー。
コピ
じゃあ
ー
先にサンプルデータを収集してくるね。学園長にも送っておこっか。
We work
そう
fast.
しに行く。レベッカちゃん、漂白者たちに相談しなきゃいけない話を思い出した。先に行ってくれ。リンね、面白い子だわ。それとさっき言ってたモーニエって誰？
She's our basically research team lead.
学園の教授だ。ナイトメア残像に関する話なら彼女が何か知ってるかもしれない。
ナイトメア残像について相談。そうね。出発の前に少し時間をくれないかしら。
Okay.
状況の整理。異常な点と欠けている情報を洗い出してる。レベッカが見つけたドリームバンド覚えてる？あれは偶然現れたものじゃないと思う。きっとデイビッドと何かしら関わってるはず。私の力だけじゃデータを解析できない。あんたたちが言ってたモーニエって人に会ってからにする。そういえば私の世界について聞きたいことがあるんでしょ？今なら答えてあげる。
前に言ってた。
荒坂社はセキュリティサービスや兵器製造をはじめ銀行業務にも手を広げてる超巨大企業よ。
I don't know anything about cyberpunk, so this is the reason why I'm like going through it.
ナイトシティじゃその名を知れ渡ってる。良くも悪くもね。長く生きてるといつかは荒坂と関わりが生まれるものよ。私もそう。ちょっとした因縁があるわ。
前に言ってた。
企業に飼われてる連中のこと、企業が金を出せば公募が動く。今回の連中は服装からしてセキュリティ関係ね。企業の面倒事を処理するのが主な仕事。
So they're basically not really assassins, but like what do you call those? For some reasons, I'm thinking of this as like Resident Evil. Like, you know how the Umbrella Corporation, they have the USB-C or something like that? along with, like, you know, the ones in the black suits, some military grade people that will basically kill on sight kind of deal. I forgot what those are. I forgot what it's legitimately, that thing is legitimate, what they're legitimately called. But yeah, it's kind of like the USBC, like the Umbrella Security Division, where they basically, like, quote unquote, like, rescue the survivors or something like that. But of course they're gone. But then you have, like, the actual corporate people that hires, like, or like has actual people that will basically do the cleanup. Just forgot what they're called. Like from Resident Evil, I forgot what they were called. But they're kind of like those people. And the only reason I'm, like, comparing it to Resident Evil is because that was the first thing that popped into my head. Because if you ever played Resident Evil 2 Remake, there are videotapes of how the G-Virus was basically played by William Birkin. So go reference that and you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll reference those and you'll know what I'm talking about. And then of course, what else am I gonna say? Of course, as you notice, I'm kind of a Resident Evil fan, kind of. I think all I can say is that my first Resident Evil game, funny enough, is Resident Evil 4, like the OG Resident Evil 4. After that, I haven't played anything, but I've watched people play Resident Evil games. So I watched people play Resident Evil 1, the OG Resident Evil 2, OG Resident Evil 3, 5, 6, 7. Funny enough, I personally played 8. I personally played Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and Resident Evil 4 Remake, and then Resident Evil 9. I also played Resident Evil Revelations, funny enough, and nothing else after that. But now that we got PlayStation Direct, I think, was happening along with, we have our video game directs team. So we have PlayStation, so they already announced their games. We have the Summer Game Fest, and I'm excited because Resident Evil is coming out with Resident Evil Veronica Remake, or Code Veronica Remake, so that will be coming in 2027, basically next year. And to be fair and honest, with the Nintendo Direct that's coming out tomorrow at 7 in the morning, goodness gracious, I have to be awake and I'm like on my way to work during that time. But Lord have mercy. But yeah, so with Nintendo Direct coming out tomorrow, I'm kind of hoping, aside from the but like future games that we basically already know, there's Star Fox, that I know it said that was coming out later in this month. Let's see, I'm pretty sure there's like some whatchamacallit, there's probably some like Xenoblade Chronicles, Luigi Mansion. I think there were probably something of said mentions of those somewhere. I'm not gonna be surprised if there's like other versions. I do know that Final Fantasy VII will be coming out for the Switch too. But what I'm hoping to be fair and honest, is that I'm hoping that they will announce that they will do Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and Resident Evil 4 Remake as like a batch collection for the Switch 2. Because I want to play that on the go if I can. Because I already played RE9 on my Switch 2. And it ran fairly well, besides the slight drop on certain areas, like slight frame rate drop on certain areas, but it wasn't so bad that it was like it hindered me from playing the whole entire game. But it was fine. It was fine. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just kind of hope that they at least mention that they're gonna be porting some games. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's basically, in a sense, my segue of like what I'm hoping to expect for the Nintendo Direct. And since we're basically in June, and like I said, we're basically doing like all these game things, and like, you know, I'm basically playing Wuthering Waves with the collab of Cyberpunk, and this is the reason why I found, like, I knew about it for like the past week, but it's funny how they mentioned it in, like, you know, in the Summer Game Fest on Friday, regarding like the Wuthering Waves and Cyberpunk thing. So now that I have that out of the way, I guess we can finally continue. Sorry, my brain blanks and it just takes me time to like think of like how to say things and word things that make sense. So that's the reason why. So there.
私もレベッカもエッジランナーの一員傭兵とでも思ってくれたらいいわ。他の人に頼めないような仕事をしたり厄介なトラブルを解決したりしている。もちろん伝説になるためにあえてこの生き方を選んだエッジランナーも多いけど。
Okay, so these guys are mercs.
こんなところでいいかしら。
Okay, so these guys are mercs.
あのナイトメア残像は私を狙ってる。いざとなったら私を置いてレベッカと逃げて。あんたたちまで巻き込まれる必要はない。
俺は誰一人として見捨ては
Like I said, more than likely it's your fault because you probably have some unresolved things in ya
冗談よ。
that's probably why they're targeting you.
あいつに説教されるとはよ。さっきのあーしの目気づいてなかったか。こいつはキロシ製のインプラントだ。ルーシーと通信すると光る。さっきリンネーと話をしてる途中急に切り上げただろ。あれはルーシーからフォローがかかってきたからだ。侵食されないよう不用意にゲートに触れるなって。
Can I get a cyber word?
そうか。ナイトシティじゃ普通だけど。
So these guys run a really high tech. I guess it would make sense because they're called cyberpunk.
足もアブみてえな音階をパートナーにして音階ってペットみてえなもんだろ。そいつを見てったカプカプのことを思い出すんだ。
So like younger days?
足が飼ってた犬の名前だよ。すげえいい子だったんだ。あんたもきっと気に入ったと思うぜ。
Chomps, for sure. Oh, when she said chomps, she meant friends. Okay, that would make sense. Okay. I was just like, wait, what is this slang? Holy moly. Am I really that old to be thinking is like, what are kind of slang you talking about? It took a bit for me to see between the lines, but yeah, okay, now I see. Chomps, she meant friends. Okay, Lenny.
ゲートの状況ならルシラー学園長に報告しておいたよ。
What you got, girl?
何か言ってたか。
学園の状況めっちゃ心配してるみたい。協力したい気持ちは山々だけど 面倒ごとに巻き込まれ
I
て
guess it's up to us
時間が取れない
then.
スペーストレックコレクティブの人を手配してるみたいだけど、まずは私たちだけで何とかするしかなさそうだね。
I'm guessing she's trying to do damage control. That's basically what she's trying to do.
きっとそう言ってくれると思った。どう？出発の準備はできてる？
Okay, before I
ここで
do,
待ってるから、準備ができたら教えて。
before I do, I am just gonna pause here. I'm basically already 1 hour in, or 55 minutes in, but I think the last 15 minutes of me was 10-15 minutes of me was basically me talking about the game direct. And I guess this is probably a good semi-time to actually really talk about it. As just like a good old ending to this game. I mean, not the game, but not the game, but like, you know, as a closing. So, like I said earlier, we got several game directs that already played this past week. PlayStation, Xbox, Summer Game Fest. Tomorrow is the Nintendo Direct. The PlayStation, they legitimately showed the new God of War game, like God of War Laufey. Apparently some people are kind of mixed reactions about that. Let's see. I'm pretty... And then I think I remembered seeing Final Fantasy VII, that's in there, so... Stay play. Okay, let me actually pull up the announced kind of games so I know what I am talking about. So sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so from the PlayStation State of Play that was basically last week on Tuesday, there was several games in there that was very noticeable. So there's Ace of Combat 8, Bancho the Chef, Control Resonant, Dune Awakening, Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered, God of War Laufey, Marathon, Marvel Talkin' Fighting Souls, Knights of Doom. There's Wolverine, Ill, Kemuri, No Rest for the Wicked, Onimusha, Phantom Blade, Zero, and there's Rayman Legends, Silent Hill Townfall, Stuntman Hollywood, The Lost Wild, Tomb Raider, The Legacy of Atlantis, Until Dawn 2. So those are the games that were mentioned in PlayStation State of Play. To be honest, a lot of the PlayStation games that was announced I was not interested in, funny enough. Even though I legit am borrowing my fiance's PlayStation just to play Resident Evil 2, 4, sometimes 3, maybe 8 if I feel like it. And then of course there's the Xbox showcase that happened on not Sunday, but Saturday. So basically there's Gears of War, Call of Duty of course, Halo of course, Metro, Fable, Minecraft, Senwa, Wulong 2, State of Decay 3, Resonance, Clockwork, Spyro, Doom. Funny enough, there is P4 Revival, so P4R in a sense it's like the remake of the remakes. There's Castlevania, Where Winds Meet, Flight Simulator, Crazy Taxi, I remembered playing Crazy Taxi, funny enough, on the GameCube, so I do remember that. I think it's... what was it? Sea of something? Which was it? I can't remember on the top of my head, but it was like Sea of something. Fable... no. Senhua, Spyro... did say Castlevania... Crazy Taxi... Magicians, The Devil's Deal... P6! Yes, P6! Finally! We finally got Persona 6! After years. I'm pretty sure now a lot of people were like getting tired of having anything related to P5 these days, so finally we got P6. So I think out of that whole entire Xbox trailer, I think P4R and Persona 6 is probably the one I'm more inclined to play. So hopefully we can finally get that for next year. And of course, the Summer Game Fest, they mentioned a lot of things already. So Final Fantasy VII Revelations is basically part 3. Street Fighter 6 Year 4, they have their DLC characters, and so that's the reason why Tifa is in there. Stellar Blade Blood Rain, so basically part 2 of Stellar Blade. Wolf Among Us, Pal World, funny enough. Attack on Titan, so basically Attack on Titan is like basically all 4 seasons. Clutch, that's a lot of like racer games. Hot Wheels is another racer game. Monster Hunter Wild. There's the Among Us, I guess. Blood of Dawnwalker, Star Wars Zero Company, Lords of the Fallen, Saw Genesis, 1666 Amsterdam, Mafia, The Old Country, RuneScape, Virtua Fighter, Crossroads, Guild War 3, Crossfire, Gundam Rogue Orbit, TMNT, The Last Ronin, Hacks, Stranger Than Heaven, Blood Message, Gen Atlas, Alien Isolations 2, Cuphead, Resident Evil Code Veronica. So I think out of all of those games, like I said, that I'm more excited about to play is Resident Evil Code Veronica. So I'm just kind of hoping I get to have all these games coming past. But otherwise, yeah. As you can see, a lot of my games are centered around that survival horror, so kind of like survival horror like Resident Evil, RPG like P4, P5. Of course, I kind of play these types of games, you know, these gacha slight open world, Withering Waves, Honkai Star Rail, as you can see. Of course, I do play like some other games, like idle games on my phone. There were a few, like, you know, fighting games I did play before, like Soul Calibur. I do play like Wind Waker and whatnot, like Legend of Zelda. There you go. I play Legend of Zelda, but I cannot do... Funny enough, I cannot do like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. I tried to play it, but I just couldn't. Like, I think I mentioned this before, but I get so distracted on like what to do. Like, what am I doing? Like, I've got so distracted, like opening every places, making sure that I'm able to travel around easily. But at the same time, it defeats the purpose of me playing the story. So I just couldn't do it anymore, so I just stopped playing it. So because when I play Legend of Zelda, I like to be one story driven, and I guess some people really didn't like how linear that Legend of Zelda has to be from time to time, but I guess it makes sense that it's been like that the whole entire series since it came out. But my favorite of playing the Legend of Zelda series is basically Wind Waker. Like, that was the only game that I legitimately completed 100%. I did a second playthrough with it. Basically, quote unquote, New Game Plus in a sense, but I digress. But yeah, so Wind Waker's been my game, like, since the very beginning. Mario games, especially like Mario Kart Double Dash. Some platformer games from Mario, but here and there. Not very often, but Mario Kart has been like my more favorite racing game out of all the racing games that's out there. But yeah, so this is the reason why I decided to talk about the gaming direct. The gaming direct, because it's basically the gaming month, I guess you could say, like getting the chance to see like all the games that are coming out for the next 6 months to next year. So like I said, for the Nintendo Direct, I'm kind of hoping to see some games ported. For me personally, like I said, it's gonna be, I want the actual proper port of Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake for me, personally, so I can enjoy playing it on the go. Because that's the game that I tend to play the most out of the Resident Evil series. I'm planning to get, like, if they ever thought of remaking Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 to be a bit more better. Like, Resident Evil 5 was okay, like, in perspective, but it did lost its edge of like horror. It just became like more actiony. Same thing of Resident Evil 6. It became more actiony than anything. And I kind of hope that they fixed the story of Resident Evil 6, because the way how they did for the characters' campaign. So I'm kind of hoping that what they do with Resident Evil 9, they do the same with Resident Evil 6. Because I'm pretty sure that's gonna be like down in the future, like future, that they may plan to remake Resident Evil 6. Because all I can say is that Resident Evil 6, in retrospective, they could have done better with the campaign. I get it, because it's co-op, and I'm guessing that they're trying to play that since Resident Evil 5 is a co-op game, and I guess that they want to see if they can do it again with Resident Evil 6. But the thing is that Resident Evil 6 has like so many characters that you're basically playing as, or like, yeah, like you're basically playing about 7 characters in Resident Evil 6. That's why you need to have like a quote-unquote buddy. I mean, you can totally play it solo, but I kind of feel like they need to drop the co-op. Resident Evil is, to be fair, is not really that great for co-op. But yeah, I was hoping that they do Resident Evil 6 as not like a separate co-op, but kind of like a story mode, kind of like they did with Resident Evil Revelations and Revelations 2. So it's kind of like an episode kind of thing, like an episode kind of thing. So like you have like the first episode dealing with like prior to like Chris, like some parts of Chris' story, some parts of like Jake's and like Chris's story, a little bit of Chris's story, a little bit of Pierce's story, a little bit of like Sherry's story and Jake's story in the beginning, and then once you get the very end, like Ada's story, and then you get the meat into it. So kind of like the combinations of each of those characters. So like you get Leon, Helena, Chris, Pierce, then Ada somewhere in between in that episodes, and then Jake and Sherry like a little bit after. That kind of deal. So kind of like either like an episodic type of deal like they did with Resident Evil Revelations, so Revelations 1 and 2, or they do it like, you know, Resident Evil 9, where all of the stuff that's happening turns in sequence. So you play as like Jake and Sherry, then you play as Chris and Pierce, and then you go back to like, then you go to like back again to like Chris and Pierce, or like Jake and Sherry, and then you go to like Leon and Helena in one episode, like in certain parts, like a bit of those time skips. I know Resident Evil 9 was based on like, you know, basically running in one whole night, but it makes sense, doesn't it? Like, it would make sense to do that. Like, it's not surprising that you have games that does time skips. So like, if Resident Evil 6, like Capcom decide to do what they did with Resident Evil 9 to Resident Evil 6, so like, okay, Jake and Pierce did this little mission about like 6 months prior to everything happened, and then you basically time jumped a little bit at the same time with Sherry and Jake, and then there's a little bit of time skip after that. Then you go back to like Chris and Pierce, and then you have Leon and Helena, and then you go back to Sherry and Jake, and then of course, like I said, all the things that happen like in sequence in like the meat or the middle of Resident Evil 6 to the end of Resident Evil 6. So like, you know, like the switching pobs, like the switch of pobs, there you go, that's basically what it is. And like I said, it's not surprising that there are probably some certain time skips, so, but it would make a better storytelling. Instead of like, okay, you have to play one campaign to like start off the story, and then play another campaign to find out more of the story, and then play another final campaign to like figure out what the hell is going on in the whole entire story, and then you have to find out and play one extra campaign again, like just to like finish it all up. So, you know, it's kind of like a lot, and some people will more than likely get mind-numbing because they already know the story. They have an idea of like what part each characters are at in certain points of the story. But yeah, it would just make sense if you just do a lot of pub switching like they did with Resident Evil 9, since I know Resident Evil 9 is 2 characters, but then at least it would make sense that if you like, make sense that each of those characters, like, you know, Leon, Helena, Chris, Pierce, Jake, Sherry, and then Ada would have like their own sequence of parts, like cut-throughs of each of those. So I mean, that's my take. That's only if Capcom decides to remake Resident Evil 6, because I know that's one chunk of a game. Resident Evil 5, they plan to remake it because they kind of changed Resident Evil 4 a lot. So, I mean, it's still the same story, but they changed it to the point that Wesker basically got at the end like another way to get the sample of, like, you know, the Las Plagas. So I'm not sure how much of a spoiler territory I'm gonna be in, but I'll try to make it brief and not say anything else. But I'll tell you now, Wesker, I mean, it's been like, what, 2 years? 3 years already that Resident Evil 4 remake came out, so I don't know how much of spoilers I want to say, but I kind of did spoil a few other things when I played Honkai Star Rail, so I do apologize for that. But But yeah, it's just kind of like a thought for Capcom. Considering that I guess Resident Evil 2, 3, 4 is basically in a sense being rebooted, along with Code Veronica now it's being rebooted. But like I said, I'm just hoping for a remaster or like, you know, a better fix on 5 and 6 to be more cohesive, coherent to, you know, the Resident Evil series, or at least like, you know, I know, like I said, the co-op, they were experimenting on the co-op, but most of the time, a lot of those co-op, most people don't probably have another person to play with. So Resident Evil, I feel like, is not that great of a co-op game, it's more better of a horror. But otherwise, like horror single player. But otherwise, I'm just gonna stop ranting here. I think this is a good stopping point. I know the last like 30 minutes is, like I said, it's me just talking and then going a little bit into the story and then just having the pause here, and then the last 15-20 minutes is me ranting about the games. And like what do I want, what's expected, but like I said, I'm just vibing. I'm just watching to see what goes. I mean, I could go on another 20-30 minutes of me saying like, hey, this is what I think of like what I think is gonna happen in the Nintendo Direct or PlayStation State of Play or whatever, but I'm not like that. I take it as I come. I'm more of a reactor than speculation types, unless I say it legitimately out loud and I'm just like, oh, I'm expecting this, or like I theorize this. But no, I'm not that. I'm just a reactor. I'm just a reactor. Alright, but otherwise, yes, I'm like I said, this is the last bit that I'm just gonna say. We're done. I'm good. I think this is a good stopping point. Like I said, it's a good segue to like me coming back later for tomorrow to like, you know, more than likely try and talk more of like what am I seeing, what to expect, and whatnot. So hopefully that will be. Alright, peoples. I will talk to you guys next time, because I'm pretty sure once I talk to her, we're gonna be jumping into here. So that's the reason why I also stopped. Otherwise, I'll be running about 1 hour and 30 minutes. Which I'm more than likely already doing it with me ranting. Again. But otherwise, again, bye-bye. Bye.